Hi, welcome to another TeamSense Tuesday webinar. My name is Caroline Rizzo, and today I have the honor of moderating today's panel discussion. Our esteemed panelists each bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise within the manufacturing industries, and I'm excited to introduce them to you shortly. First, let's cover a few housekeeping items. As always, questions are encouraged throughout the webinar. We ask that you place them in the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get to them at the last section of our time together. As you may have noticed, this webinar is being recorded. The recording will be emailed to all of our registrants via a YouTube link in case you have to hop early or you'd like to revisit the content at a later time. You can always visit teamsense.com/webinars to see all past and upcoming topics that we'll be covering. So without further ado, let's introduce ourselves. As I mentioned, my name is Caroline Rizzo. I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm part of the marketing team at TeamSense and producer of these webinars. My goal is to learn about topics related to HR, operations, as a way to start conversations and learn from experts in the field. Which brings me to welcoming our guest today. Welcome, Manoj. We had the pleasure of connecting with Manoj recently after we read his amazing piece in Industry Week about how frontline leaders are the true catalyst for cultural change. So we just had to bring him aboard our webinar series because we felt like this is such a relevant topic to our audience. So thanks for being here, Manoj. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me here. And my name is Manoj Mohta. I'm Director for Continuous Improvement for Avalign Technologies. I have been in the industry almost for 23, 24 years now, and been experienced with the sales, marketing, customer service, now mainly in operations, and mostly in the continuous improvement for last 15 years or 14 years. And I've been Six Sigma Master Black Belt trained, and I live in Ohio. It's a beautiful place to live in.
Ohio. Yep, love Ohio. Well, hey, Sheila, good to have you here. You want to introduce yourself to our
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly, I think my career and Manoj's went the opposite way. So I actually started my career in manufacturing and operations at General Motors. I've worked at Whirlpool Corporation, and then over to the West Coast. I am north of Seattle with Fluke and Fortive. I'm the CEO and co-founder of TeamSense, and just absolutely thrilled to have read the article and see so many things that are fundamental beliefs to us here at TeamSense kind of come through in that. So I'm really excited to dive in.
Awesome. Okay, well, like I said, let's hop into it. As always, we like to go off slides for these conversations just to make them feel a little bit more conversational. So we'll first start off kind of setting a little bit of the ground line. So we talked a little bit about this whole article in Industry Week, right? That really caught our attention. Manoj, can you share a little bit, just briefly, for people that may not have read that article, what's some background on that? What inspired you to write this article, really around the importance of frontline leaders and change initiatives?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to the cultural change in the organization, irrespective of it is a big organization, medium size, or small organization, we start from the top, right? Generally, it is not the bottom up process. So we start from the top, and CEO and the executive team, the C-suite team, they start building up a strategy around it, plan around it, and then they start going down the path like on the lower level cadres, say VPs and directors and all these people. And I found that during this cascading down, the message is lost when it goes down to the bottom. That's the first reason why we don't have effective implementation. So we had a lot of focus on the strategy and planning, but don't focus too much on implementation because uh, this is not normal. I just learned it like in the last couple of months, that people in the C-suite, they think they know everything about the bottom of the business, but generally the problems in the business related to cultural change and all, they are not aware of. They remain hidden in the lower layer. So the data I saw, like almost 4 to 5% only the CEOs are aware of. 95% is that remains with the lowest cadre and the frontline leaders. So if we are talking about the cultural change, we need to go into deep of all these problems. And that's why we need to have those people engaged to tell us the real truth. The people who are the frontline leaders who are working with the day-to-day operators. And that is why I thought like this is not covered even in Harvard Business Reviews. This topic, and I thought I'll share my understanding, my knowledge, and my experience gained throughout the years working with this continuous improvement methodologies. So that is the first reason I would share. And second is even the message is given from the CEO. It goes through, like, say, webcast or say through the email channel. It is misinterpreted. It is not rightly interpreted, and the people at the top, they think that they cascade down, the managers will take care of it. The leaders in the middle, they will take care of it, and the responsibility comes on their shoulders, which is not the right thing, because eventually the problems lie in the bottom. So we should be looking at the bottom to deal with this. This is the whole reason I thought this could be an interesting topic for people to learn and understand from my experience.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And kind of what we talked about when we met too is the fact that you really firmly believe in the fact that it's not just one single group that owns culture. Everybody owns culture, right? In a company and a business. But then really to make cultural change, you really have to understand who those key stakeholders are. And so I think a lot of what your article talks about is how oftentimes enough frontline leaders do get overlooked. And we're not really paying attention to the fact that anyone that's working as a frontline worker or just in general on the floor, they have a relationship with their direct frontline leader. They listen to them, they work with them daily, they report to them, right? So if those frontline leaders are hesitant to change based from the top level coming down, then how do you get any change across? Sheila, I'm curious from your experience, have you noticed this in your time within working in manufacturing at Whirlpool or elsewhere?
For sure. I think the idea that there's a gap between, the top and the bottom level of the organization, especially in large scale manufacturing organizations, is 100% true. And I mean, and it's not a fault necessarily of the C-suite. Like, it's really hard, coming from somebody that has kind of moved and moved opposite as the C-suite. It's like hard to have, your finger on every single element and every single kind of problem across the business, because they're many and quite varied. And you do want to hire well and trust those folks to be able to deploy and execute. I think what's really interesting about Manoj's article is, just giving everyone a sense of what it feels like to be that frontline leader and why they might not be equipped or successful kind of just out of the gate in being able to enact transformational change, enact cultural change just because of a directive. And so it might be helpful to go through some of those high level topics, because, like, reading it, you're like, oh man, this makes perfect sense. And so if I can understand, how I might better enable them, then my next, cultural change effort will be more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Manoj, kind of just setting a little bit of a background here. A lot of your mythology kind of stems around the concept of Sigma. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Can you explain that briefly before we kind of jump into some of those topics, just to kind of set that stage?
Sure. Six Sigma is basically, I will just make it simple for general audience. It is part of the statistics. In statistics, because we need the data, right, to make a decision. It's a data-driven process, and Six Sigma means it's a standard deviation. Standard deviation means how much is the normal or mean, and how much is varying against the mean, because process is never stable. And we are trying to minimize that variation if for ideal business or ideal process. So that's the Sigma level. And there is there's much I can take, like 3 days class on that, but don't want to go that detail. But I hope people understand that the Six Sigma basically is helping us reduce the variation in the process. Okay, but this is just a part of the whole process, because it is Six Sigma is a big name, but actually the roadmap which is used to do the project is called DMAIC, which is DMAIC. Define the problem, measure, then we have A means analyze the issue, and implement the countermeasures, and then control the process, control the improved process. So the MAC process, in each step, almost in each step, we can use the Six Sigma or statistics very extensively to get a good feeling of what exactly the problem is, what are the solutions could be, what are the options, and when after implementing the solutions, you want to check if those solutions are effective. And this is why we call it Six Sigma process. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that really clarifies. I should also mention that Manoj is a black belt. So we threw in an expert here with us today. So I always want to talk about specific challenges, right? I'd like to kind of have a better understanding of some of the specific challenges you've observed in organizations that really fail to prioritize frontline leaders and their strategies. Do you have some examples kind of from your experience, even in different companies?
Yes. So the biggest challenge when we start working on the continuous improvement or change culture process, the biggest challenge comes when you go to the people at the front line leadership. Oh, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I have too much going on. I have to. They prioritize their daily activity or month end volume they need to produce. They Anything else is the secondary task for them. It's not a priority for them. So this is the biggest challenge. So if you want to change something, it has to come from the top. Make sure that they understand what this means, and this process of cultural change should go in parallel with the production process. Like, we need to deliver to the customer, yes, highest priority, but at the same time we need to keep changing, keep making improvements, and we need to change the mindset here. It's not about changing the process, it's about mindset means what I did better than yesterday, and how I'm getting it better today, or what I'm going to do tomorrow, a better day. So
What's a good way to kind of influence that, right? Because we're all familiar with all the operational KPIs and the daily Gemba walks. Like, how might you suggest to somebody like attending the webinar, like, get started? Like, I think it's really easy to say, like, oh, it has to come from the top, it has to be important. But like, what are some of those tactical things that you could see them doing, or that when you walk into a new location and you're like, oh, they really value this because I see X? Like, what are those things?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll add more to this. Second is, when we start making the changes, or say start talking about the changes, everybody thinks about, like, okay, what's there in me for me here? Because you guys gonna make the change. You are pressing me for more work. Why should I do that? What is in me? What is there for me, right? And visibility, recognition. You managers will take all the recognition. That's how people think. I know I'm trying to be really straightforward, but this is, I've experienced a lot of times, and since they have not been engaged, they have not been involved. People from the top or in the middle layer, they don't know the bottom layer, the best players. People have egos, right? We all have egos, and people who know the best about the business of their particular skill, they want to be showing off, right? They own the skill, they honed the skill for years, and they want to get a good name out of that. And if we don't do that, it is hard for us to get to the root of the problem, why we don't have a growth mindset or a continuous improvement culture in the business. So this is the major challenge. And third challenge is, like, because the process is owned by the middle manager, not the frontline leaders. The frontline leaders think, oh, my boss is going to take care of it. But that's not true, because let me expand this a little bit more. Culture. Okay, let me step back a little bit. If we have seen the Volvo plant in Europe, it is completely autonomous, automated plant, and they make the engine. 100% robotics. Okay, not a single person. Do we need a culture there? Machines don't understand culture, right? People who are designing the machines, yes, but once the production is in process, you don't need culture there. Culture means people. People need to be disciplined. People need to be working for the company. They should have some growth mindset so that they can compete better with other in the market. That's why we I call it like function of the people. Function of the culture is like number of people you have. So more people, you need to have strong culture. And one supervisor owns, like, at the lowest level, or say frontline, they own like 5 to 15 people under them, and managing them is a tough task. It's not easy, and if you don't have good culture, it's gonna be rough. I'll give you a simple example. I was working on a Kaizen project, and I just asked a simple question to the operator, and the operator says, "Just do your job and let me do my job." Okay, so we know that where the culture is going,
Yeah.
and right. So this shows that the culture is not pervasive over there. Good culture doesn't exist, and the people are frustrated. I'm not blaming the person. I'm just thinking more than that, like what went wrong, what is going wrong here, how we can make it better. So we need to get, and this is not enough. We need to just understand like deeper reasons why people do that, why people don't respect each other. Doesn't matter I'm a director or I'm a VP or I'm a co-worker for that person, but this is not the way somebody should be talking to each other. So so these kind of things, they hurt a lot in the normal business, because one person getting upset means you are hurting the business. And let me tell you another simple formula which I have learned in the production industry. When the machine cuts the metal, we make the money. The business, they make the money. So more the machine is running, more the money the company makes if you have enough orders, or maybe we are efficient. And this is why we need to have a good culture, so that people can focus on the business, not on personal issues.
I think, you've made a really strong case for like why we have great culture. And then, some of those initial signs of like, hey, something's going on, which I think a lot of folks can pick up on. Looking back at some of the suggestions and like really getting into like why somebody might be resistant to change. You want to talk through some of your experience and like actually implementing some of these changes and some of the lessons that you've learned along the way that folks can take with them.
Yeah. So why we actually, my article tells a lot about this, why people are resistant to change, right? Because first of all, the production is the highest priority. It is irreplaceable priority, right? This is number one priority. I have to do this, and don't bother me about anything else. Let me focus on this. Second, the issues in the month end issues, right? Because most of the production businesses, they focus on the last week 3 times or 4 times more than the normal week. The stress level is very high in the last week. That's not a good culture. Every week should be the same week, so that people can be like less stressed, and they can be confident on their ability to produce the planned level of business, and they know the predictability of the volume every month they are trying to get to. All these things are going to be not easy if the culture is not good, if the plant is going into the last week mode and all that. So that's
I
the
thought
biggest.
that comment where you were talking about the last week of the month, like to be really insightful, like does your organization reward chaos, right? And celebrate like, oh, we were behind. And then all of a sudden we threw all these resources. People worked like crazy. We did it. And you're like, no. Like that's the wrong thing to celebrate. That's actually a problem. Instead, you need more level loading and thoughtful planning and all of these others. And I like you called that one out in there. I thought that was super, super insightful and like a note for people to look at. Like, do we have a culture where we're celebrating, kind of these heroic efforts, and therefore people, get that kind of endorphin from those heroic efforts versus having a more calm and consistent approach to the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a lot happening in all the businesses. We reward and I'm not saying it's wrong. People are doing a lot of work, hard work, but why? Why you need to do so much of hard work to get to that like last week? But I'm going to do better next month, so that we don't get into the same trap next month. So these kind of things we should be asking ourselves and to the business leaders. We shouldn't be rewarding, or rewarding is not bad, but rewarding for this reason is bad because we don't have good process. So we should be rewarding people who are showing the consistent behavior, making the business smoother, making sure that we have enough predictability in the business. So those kind of things should be rewarded. Yes, this is something this will help us get the business stable, less variation, Six Sigma, less variation in the business processes, and next month is going to be a better month because of these things. Those people should be rewarded, not because we just got the volume, because of these 3 people or 2 people.
One of the things you've touched on a couple of times already is the fact that the frontline leaders are going to be competing. You're competing against their time against production numbers, which, right, wrong, or indifferent, production numbers always come first, because, you know, your other comment is like, hey, that's where the money's made. Like, if you're not shipping product, you're not bringing in revenue. And so how might you get the attention that is needed on your cultural change efforts to at least be equal to production? This is the close second to production. Like, what have you done to kind of get the right level of attention of like, hey, like, yes, production's important, but so is this, because we're not just trying to make this month, we're trying to make the company for this year and next year and the next 10, 100 years.
So I have a little bit very, very different thought. Maybe a lot of people don't think this way. I've seen that. So company makes money by 2 ways. One, you sell the product and you have a margin like this. Say if you sold $100 of product, you made $10 at the end, like EBITDA or EBITDA, and or $15. And the second way is you reduce the cost on the business, cost on the material, cost on the labor, cost on the machining, cost on the overheads, electricity bills and everything, your consumables, cost on tools. And that cost which is reduced, that goes straight into the bottom. If you saved like $100, say in the business, on the cost improvement, it goes straight into $100. There's no split. Okay, like if you sell $100, you save only $10. But if here you save $100, it goes into the bottom line. That's the benefit. So this is what I say to these my frontline leaders and all. This is important what you're doing. And this is most important because customer is waiting for you for this product. You cannot negotiate with that. But are you making money? Where's the profit? If we are inducing so much of effort in the last week, only last week, we should have done better in the first 3 weeks. We would be smooth in the business, and we would have made more margins, because smooth business gives you more margin. So margin is more important just by compared to the volume only. So this is one of the best argument which I make in front of the people, that yes, I understand you need to ship it, but next month ship it plus make it smoother.
You know, what I love about that is on previous webinars, we've talked a lot about the language of business is dollars. And so like, here's a great example of you bringing the language of business, like all the way down to the front line. And like, this is why it matters. And this is how we can measure success. Great example. Thank you for sharing that one.
I'll give you a simple one more example. I have hundreds of examples. So if something is relevant, I'll keep sharing. So
Please.
So we did one process improvement in one area, and the guys were happy in the beginning, but they said, because of your continuous improvement, we are like, don't have excitement here. We like, new product waiting for me. It comes and it goes like this. So are we going to lose our jobs? I said, no, this is the real business. This is what you want to do. And but if you don't do this, no, you gotta do this. If you don't do this, then your competitor is gonna do it. You are worried about job. I'm worried about all jobs, not only your job, everybody's job, because companies shut down because of the bad culture, and we've seen a lot of them, right? And so there are so many good arguments we can make when people are scared or people are feeling bad about it. When you feel like excitement, and excitement wins down because the business is getting smoother. And there's a saying over there in this task, like make it stable and boring. Okay,
Make it boring. Yeah.
stable and boring. The process should be stable and boring, right? And standardized. So, but it's easy saying, getting to that level is very exciting.
Yeah, I like that.
100%.
So I have a kind of a question here. In terms of actually integrating frontline leaders into change initiatives and really actually empowering them and preparing them, what are some methods that you've seen in your time to really include them or make them feel included or listen to them, communicating with them?
So I'll share my best preferred methods first. So first is the supervisors, the line leaders, supervisors, the frontline leaders. They should be running a project to improve, first of all. Once they get confidence in leading the project, the process improvement project, their team, because they will have a team of their operators around, like their own team. They may need a couple of other departments also, but mostly their own people will be around that process improvement project. Excuse me. Once they do that successfully, definitely they don't have experience, they need training, so they need somebody like a Lean Six Sigma expert, or at least black belt level person who can help them through the process of the project. But once they complete one project and they feel good about it, that's the point of trigger.
Yeah.
Okay, people start feeling so good. Second is, this is my own philosophy. I never read anywhere, but I just started learning myself and started doing it. I prefer one person who did a good project should not do a second project, should coach the next person do the second project, because coaching and teaching makes you a better person.
Mm.
So,
That's so true. It's like they say it's better to teach someone to fish, but then also in the process of teaching somebody something, you almost learn more in return.
exactly.
And you
Exactly.
start building those blocks of confidence and management levels, and that's actually a really good
Yeah.
training technique. I like that.
So other than that, there are so many things like we can do like a leadership training first of all, because the people have spent a lot of time, a lot of years in their position. They graduated from operator level to supervisory level, right? And they have given so much of sweat and blood to the companies, and getting to this level was not easy. Now they are expert, but they did all being on the job. They didn't have a formal training on Six Sigma, change management, lean, leadership development. So help them be there, so that they can be a true leader. They definitely have to have an edge over the other people so that they can gain enough respect. People can listen to them. Otherwise, if their cadre is same as the other people, they will not have that much of respect that people will follow them whatever they say. So this is very, very critical. Third one is, which I've seen, I'll give you another example. I was in a company and said, okay, so how are you doing about this business? Oh, we are the best. Okay. How do you know that? Because my job is to ask questions, right? Ask questions nicely, respectfully. That's what I do. That's my job. Ask the right questions. How do you know that? Oh no, see, we were 100 yesterday and now we are 102. Okay. Have you been to the X company? They are your competitors? No. Do you know how good they are or better than? No. Can we go there and see? Yeah, let's try. And they were like eyes opened. They are much ahead, like 5 years ahead of the game. Um, and and now these people have to work like twice hard to get to that level in next 2 years. So people people thought like I've been working in this company for 11 years and 17 years and 15 years. We know the best about the business. Oh, yes, you know, but you don't know how the outside world is running. We think we know, but unless you go there and see how the people are doing there, how the vibrations are being felt there, you don't know. You don't know that. Same thing. Another example. I would like to send these people to the expos, auto expo, for example, or exhibitions, go and see the new technology. How our current technology is killing us, or shrinking our margin and making us less competitive compared to what is available in the market at the lesser price. So they should start thinking all of that to grow to that level. Otherwise, the people will not grow and they will never be a good leader. And the resistance to change will always be there. It'll never gonna go.
It's so interesting because you commented on a lot of things that are really, really important, but really hard to measure the impact of, right? So, putting in leadership training and kind of that realization of like, oh, my frontline leaders have grown up in the business, have excelled as individual contributors, and then like, boom, you're a supervisor. You've never had any like real training on how to lead people, how to lead process, how to institute change. And then these changes come down and like, hey, we're going to go do this. And like, it's just expected to flow. And so like, one is making sure that you're setting them up for success and driving those trainings. But then how do you measure that is pretty hard to do, I would say. And then the second is opening their eyes up to other technology and competitors and what's out in the world, and like sending folks out to expos and to technology events and benchmarking sessions and various ways in which they can see what everyone else is doing, to also kind of open their eyes up of like, oh man, like we cannot sit still. Like the world is moving and it's moving very, very fast. is also really, really hard to measure. But like when you talk about it and when you think about it, like you can 100% see why that's important and why that's important in that particular leader, because they're going to come back and say, hey, like I saw them and like they're way ahead of us. Like we need to get cracking, we need to get moving. And so taking the courage to be able to, you know, make that spend and that investment in those individuals is something really important, I think, if I think about like our audience from HR and operations leaders, for sure, you've got to take a little bit of risk there.
Yes, definitely. I had a couple of more thoughts. I thought I'll give some time to Caroline. She has some questions in mind right now.
Yeah, no, feel free. If you have a train of thought, feel free to go for it. I have some questions saved and I will save them for after this next one, but give us your thoughts on that. Yeah, expand.
Yeah, we were talking about technology and the gaps in the skill level. I think technology, the current technology can help us a lot. Like there should be every cadre in the organization should be having some specifications about the skills they need to have. Okay, for example, Manoj Mohta, he's a line leader for process X. Okay, say milling process, for example. Or he can communicate well, but he's not good with the people. So he needs more of people training, because when people, it's a lot of fight in the organization, in his organization, there are like 10 people under him, and they keep fighting for the vacations, for example. Like, hey, who's going to take days off in the year? I'm just giving a random example I heard from my wife a few weeks ago. So so the leaders are like they need a basic training, like how to manage these chaotic situations.
Mhm.
And so every cadre has their own challenges, and I think the technology companies, they can make something like that, like, hey, these are the skills required for this being in this position, and skill check date kind of stuff. So just giving you my thought, this is a potential solution to this problem. Sheila?
I love that. Yeah, a skills matrix that is more than just hard skills, right? Is also including soft skills is really important. I love that idea.
So I have a question here. I know your article doesn't really talk too much about HR managers and their role. We kind of talked a little bit about culture. I feel like culture is often on the backs of HR managers. You know, they feel a sense of responsibility, and there can be this level of frustration when sometimes their initiatives don't get adopted. You know, we've seen it time and time again where an HR manager tries to implement something, but then maybe operations isn't on the same page and it doesn't meet their goals. How do you kind of walk through that a little bit in terms of really ownership of culture and who should own it and how you can foster better communication between different teams?
So my thought would be very different the way you explained. So, but I would like to share with the team here. Um, it starts with the quality. For example, in medical device companies, quality is supreme important, because one bad quality product, if it goes to the patient, it can paralyze the patient. So quality is important. So my question to the business is this only quality department's job to maintain the quality? Have all the procedures, and because it's going to be so expensive if I have like hundreds of procedures, right? Everybody should be vigilant about the quality. It should be quality mindset. It's not like only quality department is going to take care of quality. I'm going to make some stupid product and let them deal with this. No, that's not business. Every quality should be coming out of the heart. It should be in the mind of everyone. Same thing with the continuous improvement. Is this my job if I'm a continuous improvement director? No, it is everyone's job. I should not be identifying people, hey, you come and come for the green belt training next week or next month. It should be everybody's job. Hey, I want to grow. I want to understand better what Six Sigma can do for us, for the business. Everybody should be asking that. Same thing with this process of cultural change. It's not HR job only. Yes, every department is facilitating that part, that particular piece of the business or the improvement, but it is not one person's job. It's not a one department's job. It is everybody's job. So it's a business level thinking I'm talking about, but all of us, we should be thinking about the business. We are partners, right? Whether you are the frontline leader or you are an operator or a CEO, we all have the stake in the business.
Mhm.
We share a little bit, or we share this much, depending on our ability, our capability, our investments in the business. But that's how we should be thinking. I am the stakeholder of my business. I run the business. I'm not employee of my business, though the normal designation says, hey, employee Manoj Mohta. No, I'm a partner in the business. I should be running my business as an owner. So that's when you have that kind of thought process, it comes like, okay, this is not HR's job only. Okay, HR can help me. Let's talk to them, but it is my job. It is everyone's job. I'll stop there.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, to all the HR managers out there, you're not alone. You shouldn't be alone. I'm kidding. But yeah, I totally agree with that. I think any company culture has its, beliefs, value system that should be trickled down and communicated further and further down, not just among frontline leaders, but even people on the floor, right? And I think that's sometimes the challenge that we see is people have this culture within their organization at more of a corporate level, but then how do you also get people on the front line feeling that same culture, feeling that energy as well? I kind of want to talk a little bit just around good communication, in terms of TeamSense, we pride ourselves are trying to bridge the gap really between managers, supervisors, frontline workers, whether that means making call outs easier, right? Or also just communicating out and being able to have a two-way communication street and collecting feedback and things like that. Like, how important do you feel like it is for frontline leaders to be having a relationship with their workers and establishing a line of communication? Tell us a little bit more about your perspective on that.
So I'll give you example for that. Okay, so some best example. This is about creating or say redesigning a supermarket. Supermarket means it's a warehouse where we have a lot of raw material or other material which is going to be used in the assembly. But before that, it comes to a supermarket, which is a smaller shop in the business, in the factory, which has all the immediately required parts for the assembly. Okay, so just precursor. So supermarket was really horrible because every time you need a part, assembly needs a part. Hey, I need part X number part, and it takes 2 hours to deliver that part from supermarket to the process. 2 hours average. Okay, that is the real number. And so we did a project, and we redesigned the supermarket on the lean principles, Six Sigma lean principles. Okay,
Mhm.
and how we did it, first of all, how the structure was, the frontline leader was the owner. I was the facilitator. And the people in the area, in the supermarket, they were the people who were the orchestrator of the whole strategy. So the supervisor and me, we made sure that the people inside, they know all the problems. Ask them, list out all the problems they have. Why can't they deliver the part in 5 minutes? 2 hours to 5 minutes. Okay, what is going to take that? So we just broke all the barriers and gave them like, tell me what you need, and we will do whatever we can. And we pulled out all the issues, and then we had like using the DMAC process, we had the process implemented. And can you believe we were at 2.5 minutes? Average was 2.5 minutes per order we could supply from that piece. Now the fun part, the quality department tells me and the supervisor, hey, with the new process, you gotta train all these people who have done who are in the department. So these people did the job. They did the improvement. They can train me, not I can train them. Right? They made the whole new process, the whole new design, the whole new implementation. They know every cent of it. No, this is a process, we gotta do it. Then we sat together, guys, you are experts, you can train me, but he's opposite happening. Please sign these documents. Training required. So can you believe the relationship now? And um like how the relationship is built, how the confidence, the people at the lowest level, they can do wonders. And but we need to have that communication and the goals and the responsibilities all clear, and then measured at periodic interval, and support when they ask for.
Yeah, I think support is key, actually, when they ask for it. So yeah, I like that example. That's a really great example. Okay, well, hey, we are rounding up at our time here. I want to make sure we save some time for Q&A. Of course, shameless plug, I always got to talk about what's coming up next with our webinar series. So here we are, real quick, going to share. I'm actually really excited for this one. So we are going to be joined by one of our customers from Moore's Animal End, Teresa Riley. she's talking a lot about kind of actually more of our untraditional customer here. So, we work in manufacturing, but this is an Animal Inn based in New Jersey. They just scaled to 3 locations. They have over 200 employees, and their attendance tracking was a mess. It was a nightmare and very much an antiquated process with a piece of paper and paper clips. And so I'm excited to talk more about how they scaled and really made their attendance tracking much more equitable, fair, and easier to automate. So join us next week. We'll talk about herding cats. I just had to throw that in there. Okay, let's jump into our Q&A section. But before I do, actually, real quick, as always, I wanted to mention that Manoj's article is fantastic. So if you want to take a look at it, we'll be emailing it out to you with the webinar recording. Really suggest you give it a read. It's a really great follow along if you'd prefer reading over listening to a webinar, but the content really complements one another. So take a look at it. And also, if you want to connect with Manoj on LinkedIn, you're more than welcome to as well. If you ever want to get in touch with us from a TeamSense side, though, always feel free to contact us if you want to learn more about how TeamSense works and how we help organizations really connect with their frontline leaders. Take a look at our demo page, but you can always come to our webinars every week, and we feature really cool customers and people like Manoj that are thought leaders in the industry. So always join us. Okay, let's hop into some Q&A. I had some questions that came in. This one I think is interesting and kind of one that I had some thoughts around too. We talked a little bit about Gemba walks. As someone that's newer to manufacturing industry in general, I want to hear more about this. And this person also asked kind of a similar question. When it comes to daily management Gemba walks, what should leadership be looking out for?
Great question. So the Gemba walk can be very targeted or should be very targeted. Targeted means I can have Gemba. I hope everybody understands the meaning of Gemba, right? Assuming that, just Google Gemba means what? It's basically walking around or stay there and just watch around. So people, when they do Gemba, they can be, okay, I'm gonna see only the defects throughout the business. I'm start working from here, go through the whole lines and plant and come back and note down from each department what kind of defects I'm having in each area. I could be seeing, like in the warehouse, how many broken or say damaged the boxes are there. I can be doing that. I can see only the metrics today. In next half an hour, I'm going to go with a couple of people, and especially the department owner, the line leader of the department should be there to help understand. But you don't ask mostly questions, only to understand the question, or understand this topic, you ask the question. Otherwise, just observe and come back into the room and discuss. So Gemba can be very, very focused. It should not be general. That's my opinion. It should not be general. You can have hundreds of things to look at. You will never be able to fix anything because you are focusing so broad. So have a laser focus. Okay, here's the biggest problem. We're gonna see only this thing across this area. That's it. So that's my recommendation for Gemba. And you can have different days. For Monday, we're gonna do this. Tuesday, we're gonna do this. Wednesday, this. Something like that. So yes, that's how I would recommend to have a focused Gemba. But the best thing which I prefer, Gemba, it's not a Gemba, I call it Gemba because I'm standing there, I'm doing the time observation study. I do the time observation, like how much time the person is spending on each activity they are doing to process their task. That helps me a lot understanding where the total waste of time is. So that is also Gemba, but I prefer that a lot because I have I'm standing at one place and very focused on one process. So stop there.
Yeah, that's helpful. And that kind of gives an interesting tidbit on how often you kind of talk about like, okay, Monday this, Tuesday this, Wednesday this. It can be different things that you're observing. And I've heard from other operations managers or general managers that talk about it as a sense of almost being available to them in a way. It's less of kind of this big brother, I'm looking at what you're doing and trying to find the faults, but also coming at it from a empathetic ear too, I think is important as well.
If you put yourself in the shoes of HR going on a Gemba walk, what are some of the things that you recommend that HR target and look at kind of on a daily basis, a very targeted walk? Like, what would you do if you were HR kind of going out on your Gemba?
HR job is a real tough job to see the Gemba. They are not interested in the production process. They are not interested in the say how the oil is split. Oh yeah, like risk areas, for example. So if the floor is not good, people are not keeping it clean. That could be risky. Like because the accidents and the hazards and all, they come in part of safety, OSHA, and that can be something which HR could be interested in. But if I'm an HR person, most important for me is to see the vibes among the people working over there, how frustrated they are. Talk to them, ask them real questions like why are they frustrated? And it is not about the person, it's about the process. It's never about people. It's about the process. Fix the process, people will be okay. People will be fine, they'll be happier. That's how I operate, or I prefer to operate, or I would recommend to operate.
I like that. Well, you say your job is to ask the right questions as well. So that's also
Go into the deep of the problem. Don't focus on who said this and how they said it or why they said it. Okay, but important is you are getting down into the 5 why, which is another tool in the Six Sigma process or DMAC process. Get to the root of the problem, why we have this issue, and fix that issue. That's the most important thing. Does not matter. People are important, but who said this is not important.
yeah, I appreciate that. Okay. Well, we are at time. It is 11, wherever you are in the world. It's 11:15 here in Central. I know it's 12:15 for you, so time for lunch. But Manoj, it's so great to have you join us today. We really appreciate your time. And again, we are big fans of your article and your other pieces that you have shared with us as well. We think it just resonates really greatly with our audience. And we've learned a lot. At least I've learned a lot too. So I hope other people have as well. And Sheila, as always, thank you for your time. As always, it's fun hanging out with you. So I really enjoy it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Manoj, for joining
Yeah.
us. It's been incredible to see your Six Sigma journey and how you apply that to all kinds of transformations across the business.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Caroline, for having me here. And it was a great talking and sharing and learning. It's a great process. Learn from each other. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody that joined us today. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for
Bye.
listening, everyone. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.